For today's vessel, we are actually going to look at a couple pronunciations and different meanings for this vessel. The first one that I was able to find was Andaste, which means a member of a Native American people of north central Pennsylvania. And the second is Andaste, which means a French name for the Susquehannock people of Wyandotte. So, now that we got that little pronunciation out of the way, I do hope y'all will understand that I do try my best. Anyway, let's get on with the video. The SS Andaste was built by the Cleveland Shipbuilding Company, and she was laid down on 1892. The Andaste had a length of 266 feet. She had a beam of 38 feet, a depth of 17 feet, and for propulsion she had a triple expansion steam engine. The SS Andaste was originally built for the Lake Superior Iron Company, but the Cleveland Cliffs Iron Company became her owner after the original owner actually went bankrupt in 1898. The Andaste and her sister ship, the Choctaw, had an unusual design for both of them. They were straight-back steel freighters, which, although were similar to whalebacks, were a bit different. They had straight sides and a conventional bow. This combination meant that from the waterline upward, their sides sloped inboard in a tumble-home configuration on both of them. These vessels were a hybrid called semi-whalebacks, and, like the true whalebacks, they were very vulnerable to getting a wet deck during a storm or gale out on the Great Lakes. The Andaste could carry 2,800 short tons, fully loaded, at which time she could draw 16 feet. In 1898, the Andaste and Choctaw were transferred from the Lake Superior Iron to the Cleveland Cliffs Company. The Choctaw, however, sank in 1915, and this was the result of a marine collision in Lake Huron, leaving the Andaste all to herself. These vessels carried coal, iron ore, and grain from Lake Superior to the lower Great Lakes. In the 1920s, there was a dramatic upsurge in the demand by local governments and the road districts for gravel, sand, and cement. Outdoor construction materials were in very much a high demand to build concrete paved roads and highways for the new motor cars. This demand created a new lease for the life of the old Andaste. Starting in 1928, the aging Canaler was chartered to the Construction Materials Company of Chicago as a shuttle boat for aggregate construction materials. The company's dock and concrete plant on the Calumet River in South Chicago always needed more aggregate. As a shuttle boat, the Andaste was commanded by Captain Albert L. Anderson of Sturgeon Bay. On September 9, 1929, the Andaste lay alongside the Grand River dock. She was to take on a 2,000-ton load of cargo of Grand River aggregate. However, few people noticed the workday vessel, as she was a constant presence at the working port quays like this one. Late that evening, the Andaste cast off and headed for Chicago. The boat was logged by the Coast Guard as passing through Grand Haven Harbor piers at 9:03 p.m. This brief notation in an official logbook is the last verified sighting of the Andaste. At about 1 hour after the Andaste departed Grand Haven, a stiff wind began to blow. Gale warnings were being posted, but it was all too late for the Andaste to see or hear of them, as the vessel had no radio. This storm that was blowing continued to develop and produced 60-mile-an-hour winds. By 1 a.m. on the morning of Tuesday, September 10th, the captain and first officer of another vessel out on Lake Michigan, the SS Alabama, later testified to the wind's force and fury. In this gale, the Andaste did disappear and was never seen again. Even though the Andaste had been due in Chicago on the morning of Tuesday the 10th, she did not make it in at the harbor at Calumet River or in any other port for that matter. Searches continued for the lost vessel on September 11th. However, not a trace of her was found. Continued search efforts on September 12th uncovered a large quantity of wreckage. A vast floating field of wreckage, as stated, was actually seen that afternoon southwest of Holland. This was a Lake Michigan port downbound from the Andaste's Grand Haven departure point. The wreckage included a cabin door and hatch strongbacks that were actually identified by former Andaste seamen as having come from the lost vessel. On September 13th, the Associated Press distributed the story to its member newspapers. Wreckage of the Andaste found. Crew believed to be lost. No trace found. 26 on ship lost. Among those lost on the Andaste was a 14-year-old named Earl Zelo, a steward's assistant on his first voyage who performed tasks such as helping out in the ship's galley. He was last seen peeling potatoes. The bodies of 16 of the 25 men aboard were actually recovered. Their remains washed ashore with the surf along a stretch of the Michigan beach from Holland north to Grand Haven. There is evidence that pointed to the men seeing that their ship was in danger. This was shown by 11 of the 16 bodies were wearing life jackets. Men who were searching the Ottawa County beaches for bodies found a bobbing, along with a splintered plank or piece of board siding. On the wood was written with a pencil note, "Worst storm I have ever been in. Can't stay up much longer. Hope to God we are saved. A.L.A. Albert L. Anderson, the ship's captain." This note was treated as evidence. However, there were skeptics that said the ship's master, a man with 40 years' experience on the Great Lakes, and 30 of them with captain's papers, would have been likely to try and write down the exact time the note was written. The condition of the boat at the time of the writing and the location of the boat as it labored through its final moments in the storm. And that is the story of the SS Andaste, sinking somewhere from September 9th or September 10th of 1929. Another sinking, no surprise there, caught up in a horrible storm, and it sounds like she was actually getting pretty old for this business, and it more than likely could have been that was she overloaded at this point, or carrying all that sand and gravel may have actually made her more unstable, and having that new self-unloading crane on top of her, I hear, made these vessels actually a lot more unstable too. So add that with an already aging vessel and this heavy laden offloading equipment, that all could have factored in, especially on top of a storm gale of 60-mile-an-hour winds. That spells disaster for any vessel, especially an older one. But very tragic to hear that 14-year-old did not make it along with the others, and it's very sad. Someone so young was sad, anyone of any age, sinking and drowning in these ships on the Great Lakes, but 14, my goodness, so young. But yeah, I wonder if there was anything that could have been done since she didn't have a radio on her. What way was there really for her to be informed to head back, or go to port somewhere else after leaving Grand Haven like that? I don't know. But I hope they do find her one day, and I'm interested to see if they do, maybe there's some more information that could lead to what exactly happened to her. But that is it for today's story on Songs of the Great Lakes. I very much appreciate everyone staying with me this whole time and enjoying this new story. And I really do appreciate your comments down below. Always looking forward to them, especially the ones that help me on my spelling and pronunciation fun. Trust me, guys, I try my hardest, but boy, these last names and locations are something else of a thorn in my side. But I do appreciate you guys helping me out with that, especially people who live locally or know certain things on vessels that are pronounced better. So, but until next time, enough talking. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, night, evening, whichever. And until next time, God bless you all.